So this next topic is very far-fetched for the show. You'll wonder why I'm even entertaining this topic on a show like this. Why would you talk about sports on Knights of the Dirty Table?
Sports.
Men wearing jerseys and helmets and tights. Why?
It actually is a great shot because you got all the toys in front of you, and then you got like the scene is sort of continued with this football players behind you. They all look like they're football player toys or something.
Funny enough, they actually make the Cletus Fox Sports animatronic figure guy as an action figure.
The robot?
Yeah. I should have bought it at Kmart years ago, but we don't have a Kmart anymore.
Can you still get that?
Probably, for probably a ton of money. But I should get a Patriots version.
Right.
I should. But money. And under quarantine.
That's the crossover right there.
Yeah. So we celebrate fandoms and heroes on this show and our social media handles. Heroes on the pages of our favorite comics, heroes on the television and silver screens, heroes behind the scenes helping to bring these superheroes to life. And we should also, in my opinion, celebrate real-life heroes that kids idolize and look up to become the best versions of themselves. Football is a fantastic fandom, and Tom Brady is a hero. For those that, for those that haven't heard or that don't care, Tom Brady is no longer a New England Patriot. He is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. The Southern Californian has completed his transformation and become a true New Englander. He's retiring and moving to Florida. He's eventually retiring, but he's got at least a couple more years for now, so he's looking to make the most of it. Why would I care so much about Tom Brady? I grew up a fan of the Patriots because my uncle was a custodian for them for a few years. I would cheer for the team because when they went to the Super Bowl, he got to go to the Super Bowl. He went to 4 Super Bowls in 7 years, from 2001 to 2008, or 2002 to 2008.
For anyone outside of New England, that is unusual.
It's incredible company benefits. I mean, vacations galore, obviously. My fandom for the team took me to college, where we wound up winning 3 more championships, and it was some of the most entertaining television I've ever seen, particularly Super Bowl 49 and 51, with Super Bowl 49 still being the biggest television broadcast in history between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. It was definitely a gladiator match for sure. Both of those games, for example, the clock went right down to 0, as I think 4 out of 6 of our Super Bowls did, now that I think about it. You sit there at the end of the night and of all of these championships, and you just can't believe you got to be there to watch this live with the rest of the world. It's really an incredible feeling. So why would I talk about him on this show? The subject of Tom Brady leaving for another team has been a major debate here in New England for months, and only just came to a head in the past couple weeks. The New England fandom is heavily divided. Half are siding with the Patriots for moving on for someone younger and wanting a true team player by taking a team-friendly contract, less money. And then you have the other side of that with Brady, who sided with Brady for leaving an organization that will do anything to win, even manipulate and take advantage of the game's greatest leader. When someone like Tom Brady has played the game for so long, being an inspiration to so many, young and old, has the hero lived long enough to see himself become the villain? Does this classic line really apply to people in the real world? People that we look up to? It's a question that doesn't quite have a direct answer in my mind. Other great athletes that have stayed with franchises forever only to turn a new page on their careers includes Joe Montana of the San Francisco 49ers to the Kansas City Chiefs, and Michael Jordan from the Chicago Bulls to the Orlando Magic after retiring for the second time.
But the first time he played baseball, right?
Right, the first time he went in between of that. Felt like he was done, then took part ownership in the Washington Wizards, and then just decided after a couple of years, screw it, I'm going to come back and play. And everyone's like, what? But still counts. He changed teams. Both examples are athletes who have multiple championships to their name, more than most in their sport. Michael Jordan with 6, Joe Montana with 4, which is still a lot. Sports heroes that have conquered all obstacles to become the pillars of their craft, that decided to risk their legacies to keep playing because they felt that they had more left in the tank. Is someone's reputation tarnished when they decide to leave for a company, when they decide to leave a company because they feel it's better for them? and their family, even though that company appears to be the best situation available. Is our hero in this story, Tom Brady, considered a traitor for defecting to a lesser group,
Yep.
considered by some to be the enemy?
Yep.
Barney says yes. I mean, a Buccaneer of all things. I mean, that's practically an anti-hero in my mind. Very Red Hood,
Yar.
Jason Todd story. I mean, does it happen with celebrities? Recently, Ellen DeGeneres has been the target of a Twitter fest where people will tell stories of experiences working for her or being around her on her show, and they say that she's not nice at all in any way, and she's a total diva and incredibly mean. She's been around for almost 40 years.
Wow.
And we'll come back to that idea in just a sec. In entertainment and sports, you work incredibly hard to be as successful as you can for as long as possible. But does it have drawbacks when you're on top of the world for so long? Tom Brady, Ellen DeGeneres, Joe Montana, Michael Jordan. Do you work for long-lasting success in any industry only for others to eventually see you as a bad guy for being around for so long? Again, it's a question I don't have an answer for. It's something I do think about often, though, as I'm striving for success in the entertainment business, whether it be through my music, whether it be through dancing, whether it be through roles that I've done on stage, or whether it be through this show here. Remember when Captain America uttered the iconic words, and it threw the comic book world into a hailstorm? Captain America said, "Hail Hydra." Many felt betrayed by this statement from the character on the page. Many felt that the hero stood for truth and justice, and he became the victim of a company shakeup. Some saw Marvel's decision to make Steve Rogers a Hydra agent a poor choice, the result of a hero who had been around for decades, and some at Marvel felt that he needed a change in order to stay relevant. Is that the same case for former Patriot turned Buccaneer Tom Brady? We'll have a more clear answer when the GOAT decides to hang up his helmet for good, but as a fan of a good story, I am very excited to see how the saga ends for the greatest of all time. In the Captain America movie trilogy, Cap works for S.H.I.E.L.D. in Captain America Winter Soldier. And Cap working together with Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D., it's a great combination. It just makes sense. Strong leaders carrying out great tasks and coming home with victories. But after working with S.H.I.E.L.D. and uncovering the truth involving S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, Steve Rogers questions everything he knows about what it means to fight for truth. When he sticks with his beliefs in the Captain America follow-up, Civil War, he's treated by some of his peers, particularly Iron Man and General Ross, as a criminal. And he looks to forge his own legacy as a hero after that film and rediscover what it truly means to be a hero. He gets that resolution in Endgame, especially when he picks up Mjolnir. I mean, how classic is that? My overall point. Now separated from his longtime coach and partner, Bill Belichick, and winning many championships after practically going to every championship every other year, which is just unheard of. Is it the organization that made the hero in Tom Brady? Or is it the hero that made the organization of the New England Patriots as strong as it is? We won't know for a while, but it's just something to think about. That's my piece. Barney, do you have any thoughts?
No, that was interesting.
I thought you were just going to end with Tom Brady sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about it. I very much am ambivalent, I would say. I haven't been around here long enough. I do consider myself a Patriots fan.
Mm-hmm.
I can obviously consider myself a Tom Brady fan because the two were inseparable. And actually, until recently, I was massively convinced that he was not leaving.
Because a lot of people were, and you had every reason to be. Every time he was up for grabs at the end of a season or maybe a year out from a contract, he came back. There was no reason to not believe that he would come back because he'd done it so many times before.
And in my mind, the only, he had a choice. He had two choices, and that was stay with the Patriots or go to another team. And I can't think of a single reason why you would at his stage in his career, with his history, why he would want to go and play for another team. I don't understand it. And you'd mentioned that it was, a security thing for him. But
It could have been. I don't want to assume that I have all the answers in regards to what.
Sure. But, what it all comes down to in the end for me is money. And that's the only reason that he would make decisions. And I just feel like he is already rich enough to take whatever small hit it would be to stay with the Patriots.
I do not think this is about money. I think in terms of the contract, I mean, considering how many quarterbacks out there are getting record-setting contracts for mediocre talent, I don't think he cared about the money as much. He's still not he's still not the highest paid player by any stretch in the league. He jumped up a little bit, but not nearly as much compared to, again, the mediocre talent that's getting these massive contracts.
Sure, but like the reason that argument doesn't make too much sense to me is because if you want security, okay, so let's say the Patriots would sign him on just a 1-year basis, or whatever, however that works. Then they let you go, or you don't have that security, so you get transferred or something. How is that any worse than just leaving on your own? Aside from him being in control of that decision.
Yeah.
I don't know. None of that flies.
Well, if you're traded away, that means the team doesn't want you.
And if the team doesn't, but my point is, if the team wants you now, then go with them. Stay there.
But, well, see, this is where part of the divide comes in. Robert Kraft has always wanted Tom Brady to retire a Patriot. Went to ball for him when Tom's job was potentially threatened with Jimmy Garoppolo being around, hence Robert Kraft forcing the trade of Jimmy Garoppolo to the San Francisco 49ers via Bill Belichick and just basically getting nothing for him in return, just out of spite. Robert Kraft wanted him to stay, but Bill Belichick didn't.
Well,
he's in charge. He is the general manager of the team. He handles the contracts and handles everything top to bottom. And he's been one of the few to really make it work, especially in an age of free agency where contracts get reset all the time. And
it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
He was going to offer Tom less money this year than last year after winning a championship, a 6th championship. He was going to be offered way less than market value and then offered even less this year to come back on a 1-year deal.
But and I don't know anything about Tom Brady's financial situation.
He's fine.
He's fine. I mean, I'm pretty sure the guy could play football, could volunteer to play football.
And then his wife is like the second highest earning model in the world, was in first place for like 10 years up until I think Kylie Jenner overtook that. So no, he's fine financially. It's not about.
So none of that flies for me.
It's not about financial security. It's just about job security and knowing that you're going to be able to play until you decide to quit.
And I said this to you last time you mentioned that. Which job security? What is job security if not about money? It's about money, in whether you're talking long term, short term. You're talking like, it's what else is it about?
Playing,
yeah, but you're telling me that Tom Brady can't play football if he wants to at some point? It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless if he's physically too old and he retires, like that's one thing.
I think he feels like he has a chip on his shoulder this season, the same way that he did when he got picked 199th in the draft.
And you know what?
He could have been number 1.
And if that's the case,
looking at it now,
great. But to speak to that, I would say that he should man up and be honest about that. And just like if that's what it's about. Anyway, I don't want to talk about this for too long. But
it's frustrating you.
Well, I mean, me and you can go back and forth on this. But my feelings are basically very ambivalent because I'm not mad at him. I don't care enough. So I think that he made the wrong decision.
I think both teams honestly made the right decision. I'm really very in the middle.
I'm not gonna be to answer the other question, which I don't know if you asked this now, but we were talking about this before about like some people are going to be fans of the Buccaneers now because of Brady. That is not me.
I want for our Super Bowl, for Super Bowl 55, I want Patriots Buccaneers, because that's the only time we'd get to play them this year if that's the case. We may get to play them next year, but I don't know if injury or early retirement for Tom sets in. But if we're going on a one-season schedule right now, give me Patriots Buccaneers, the rematch or the greatest debate of all time in football.
Yeah, on paper it's
in a championship game.
It's like that's like the type of Super Bowl that would have a movie made about it.
When the stakes are the absolute highest, absolutely get all of your A-list actors to just come in and just tell this story. Like,
so to skip back a bit though, Wizard Clint had just mentioned that I feel like Ellen is not a very nice person, but people on social media are probably just hopping on the bandwagon and making up hate stories, which happens way too often these days. And I think that can relate to the Tom Brady thing too, because even as we're sitting here right now, neither of us have the inside knowledge from Tom Brady and his family, as far as any of that information, because whatever he wants to tell the media is being told, but we don't know. So
these are two figures, Ellen basically taking over the Queen of Daytime role from Oprah. They've been around for so long. And I think even Steve Harvey's been a part of this topic as well, but he's been around for 30, 40 years. Family Feud really being a great way to just so he can go do whatever he wants,
But yeah, he had some controversy with regards to LGBT rights and that kind of thing, and yeah,
which I think are justified. I think they're very fair.
They are, but again, like, there's always an element of that getting blown out of, or maybe not blown out of proportion, but just changed. Like, we don't know what's going on in the worlds of the rich and the famous. So
no, only the rich and famous do. It just you want to strive for success, but
yeah,
is it just a matter of people looking to push you off because of your success, or do you become tainted?
And
do you live long enough to see yourself become the villain?
And is there not a certain level of a success where that is completely inevitable? Like, you cannot reach a certain level of success without haters. Right?
Yes, it is all too true. Look at my Instagram for some of my music videos and you'll see my point.
Yeah.